All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite on right now Mr. Markeece Young, a 19-year-old conservative. Markeece, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you on the program, and I want to start by just having you give a little bit of your background and tell why you gravitated towards conservative politics.
Sure. Well, my whole life I've always, been asking questions and, being curious about stuff. So, I've always, like I always tell people, I've always been conservative. I just didn't know it. And, I've been asking questions, and along 2008, when Obama came, I was the one asking, what is the actual change? Why are we, just blindly following this guy without asking his policies? So, Obama's election really started making me think about, why am I a Democrat? So, as I started seeing Obama, kind of destroying this country slowly, by the economy and foreign policy. In 2010, when the Tea Party got really big, they really gravitated me towards, coming down as a conservative because I saw so much energy. The energy that people think lacks in the Republican Party, I thought they brought. In 2012, I was one of the, biggest volunteers for Romney's campaign in terms of phone calls and knocking on doors. So I was about 16 in 2012. So, wow. And I interned for our congressman here in 2014. So it's been a, gradual push towards, becoming a Republican. So that's how my journey began.
Well, listen, man, that's really, really great. And I'm glad you're 19 years old, you said?
Yes, I am.
It's really, really great that you're still a young guy. You sound very, very intelligent. You're a conservative, which means you're obviously on the right side here. I want to ask you this though, and I'm only 2 years older than you, but I think we can relate here. Being a young conservative, you must get a lot of, in addition to all the positive feedback, you must get a lot of knuckleheads that come up to you and give you crap for being a conservative. How do your peers respond to your conservatism?
Well, I must admit, being a young African American conservative, you get a lot of doubters and people who attack you just because you exist. And I think in school, I was kind of ridiculed for being a black guy against Obama, and called a white boy and Oreo and all that. But, my interactions with my very liberal, biased teachers, I think that really made me want to, come out as a conservative. I just couldn't sit there and watch them spew, this indoctrination and, liberalism without them getting a counterpoint from, someone like me. So, they've been gradually, you'll find some people who, call you names and insult you, but you'll find a lot who will listen. And, I never thought about that. And I think, that's where our party lacks is because we never, ever, interact with young people because we think, well, they'll never vote for us. Yeah. But when you do, you'll find out that they're really more open than, the stigmas.
Yeah, and I think that, a lot of people said that the left wing or the young people in this country are overwhelmingly liberal. And to an extent, I think that's true. But I think the bigger reason here is that the conservatives, I think, the young conservatives, sitting in class, I think are so afraid to actually, speak up. If they hear their professor or teacher saying something ridiculous, going on some indoctrinating rant, I think a lot of young conservatives are honestly intimidated by the left wing and afraid to speak up. And so I think part of, getting the youth back to our side is just encouraging them, to speak up.
Oh, definitely. And, yeah, definitely. I know a woman who, she helped me a lot with, getting out there and encouraging African Americans and others. She had a story about how her daughter had wrote an essay about, why healthcare is not a right. And she had a failing grade. And then when she threatened to go to the higher ups, then he changed the grade. And I think that's, it's ridiculous, but I can tell people are scared to do that.
Yeah.
And like, I got a message from some girl today. She was like, "Thank you for saying what I'm afraid to say."
There you
and
go.
I thought it was like, kind of awful, but at least there's others out there who think the same. They just don't want to come out.
Yeah.
But definitely have to encourage them to get up and fight, because it's their future.
Yeah.
And they have the most at stake.
Absolutely. I don't think I told you this when I introduced myself to you over social media. Last April, I actually had this professor. It was a creative writing professor, and one day towards the end of the semester, he went on this big anti-Republican rant in the middle of class. If I remember his exact quote, he said, "If Republicans win the Senate in November," this was before the November elections at the time, "then colleges will start closing down." And what I did was I sat there in the back of class with my cell phone, and I recorded this entire rant. And it went, all over the place. It went viral online. I was on Fox News. It was talked about for a few days. I think that's the kind of activism young conservative individuals need to be practicing. We need to fight fire with fire. It's now or never. Because you mentioned, you're absolutely right. It's our future. We're standing up for the future of our country. And I understand that you mentioned that you actually created a anti-Hillary Clinton hashtag as a way of fighting back. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. April 12th, when she first announced, she made a mistake by saying that she was going to use Twitter to, launch her campaign. So, a kid like me is like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to get you. So, the simple hashtag, well, I'm not voting for Hillary. And I did it because it's so simple that I know that it would gravitate because, it's just so simple. And so I put that out there, and I start seeing, younger people, people who aren't even necessarily Republican start, coming in and tweeting their reason why they're not voting for her. So you never know if that activism, I know that hashtag activism has a bad name in, conservative politics, but I think if we can, make it our message and our argument, then I know we have a future in, doing Twitter hashtags. But it started, gravitating. It treated number one in the country for 3 hours during her announcement, which I kind of say, I kind of believe that's why her announcement was late, because it's kind of hard to announce. Well, the number one hashtag in the country is why I'm not voting for Hillary. And it actually disappeared for about 20 minutes, which, there's still conspiracy about that. I think that she probably paid to take it off.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because at the same time, Hillary 2016 replaced it, while mine just completely disappeared. And if you know about Twitter, they don't disappear; they just go down,
Yeah.
But ours just completely disappeared for 20 minutes.
Wouldn't surprise me if she paid it off.
Oh, definitely not.
Let me go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, no, I just kind of want to. We have about 5 minutes, give or take, left. I just want to briefly touch upon 2016 and the elections. We've been talking a lot about, the youth and getting the young people on our side and voting Republican in 2016. Whoever we nominate in 2016 to go up against, it looks like it's going to be Hillary Clinton. What does that person, the Republican candidate, have to do to reach the young people?
He's going to have to talk about issues that matter.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you can't just go up to young people and just come. You can't just come the day, the month before that. That's how I always talk about minority outreach. You can't just knock on their door a month before the election expecting to vote for them. So you have to, always initiate with them, talk about stuff that they care about, and, just show up. And I think, we make a mistake by not showing up at all. So how do we expect them to vote for the alternative if they don't even know what the alternative is? Yeah.
It's a great point. And another point that I've made on this program before, too, is I think young people, it's in their DNA. That naturally part of, being a young person is to not like people telling you what to do, right? I mean, that's part of being young. No young person, college student, high school student, likes being told what to do. They like being their own person. I think if we as, conservatives tap into this idea of, hey, you know what, the left wing, they want to tell you what to do. They're the party of, top-down authority. They want to regulate this and regulate that and run your lives. Us conservatives, the Republicans, we're the party of freedom. We don't want to tell you what to do. We want you to live freely. I think that will resonate with millions of young people.
I think, like you said, I think a liberty movement definitely resonates with young people. But at the same time, there is this, we do have this, the spirit of, rebellious and, not wanting to be controlled. But at the same time, getting freebies and, free healthcare and free, when they hear that, it does resonate in them, and they think, but it's not even free. That's the funny thing about it.
Right.
And
honestly, Markeece, that's why I think last episode or the episode before that I talked about Bernie Sanders, and I said exactly what you're saying. I said, look, this guy is going to get a lot of support from the young people because he's out there all the time talking about free this and free college and free the other thing.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why he's doing so good, with the very extreme left people, because when they hear all this free, they're just like, oh, yeah, I want free this, yeah. I think it's ridiculous because obviously not going to be free.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. They told them that Obamacare was going to be basically free, and now they have the biggest, burden under Obamacare, which is why Obamacare is extremely getting way more unpopular on the younger people every year because they're feeling the pinch.
Do you have any favorites for 2016?
I can always tell people I'm not going to endorse anyone so soon, but I do lean towards the younger crowd. I do lean towards, Rand and Cruz and Paul and Walker, because I just think we need fresh ideas. We need that fresh distinction to, someone who's an old, corrupt, career politician like Hillary Clinton is.
Yeah. All right, Markeece, do you have like a website or any place where people can find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me on Twitter at Young BLK Repub, and also my blog is Young BLKRepub.wordpress.com. And I have a lot of blogs on there, so you can reach me there.
All right, great. Markeece, hey, great talking to you, man. We'll be in touch, and keep up the good fight.
All right, thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Have a good one.